Hi, Asas. My name is Ashley Obermeyer, and today I will be discussing Greek mountain tea. I would like to start with a quote by Hippocrates: "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." And underneath, we have the staff of Asclepius. This is a symbol that's been used to represent medicine since 800 BCE, and Asclepius is the Greek god of healing. And the snake climbing the staff is representative of immortal life and transit from sickness to cure. So I think that's really beautiful and really embodies our mission here. So Greek mountain tea, Seraritis gardica, it's also known as ironwort, Olympus tea, Piran tea, Mursalski tea, or Tsisovunu, which translates to tea of the mountain. Seraritis translates to he who is made of iron, and Siros translates to iron. And I really like looking at the roots because it helps me remember. And it's also really cool because it reflects one of its original or traditional uses, which was for soldiers and healing wounds from iron weapons. And it was used orally, topically, in compress or baths. And it also looks like an iron spear, so it's another good way to remember. The Balkans and the Middle East, they used it to strengthen the body and mood. In Bulgaria, it was used commonly as an aphrodisiac. And in folk medicine, it was used for inflammation, the common cold, asthma, bronchitis, GI disorders, and it was believed that drinking this tea relieved pain, including rheumatic pain, as well as reducing stress and anxiety. So the product's benefits and uses today are very similar to the traditional uses. So weight loss, insulin resistance prevention, antioxidant properties, antiseptic, antimicrobial, cognitive benefits and protection, especially that anxiolytic effect for anxiety and the mood, anti-inflammatory, gastroprotective, and anti-carcinogenic. Now we're going to go through and break down what's going on biologically here. And these are just brief summaries as to what is going on in some of the biological mechanisms. So, weight loss and insulin resistance prevention. It's found that it does lower blood glucose and triglycerides and increases liver glycogen. In terms of antioxidant properties, it has naturally occurring non-enzymatic antioxidants and increases catalase activity in the liver. Antiseptic and antimicrobial, so those terpenoids, especially the monoterpenes and diterpenes, fatty acid ester presence helps with those antiseptic, antimicrobial effects. In terms of cognitive benefits and protection and that anxiolytic benefit and mood, they found that one of the studies I looked at showed that it does increase cerebral blood flow, and then you get a higher content as well of oxygenated hemoglobin in the blood, especially in the prefrontal cortex. And then it also is a reuptake inhibitor of monoamine neurotransmitters, serotonin, noradrenaline, and dopamine. So this is really interesting. And that was a really fun study to read and take a look at. So, anti-inflammatory, gastroprotective, and anti-carcinogenic effects. I group these together because they all have the phenolic compound friend. So that high concentration of phenolic compounds plays a role here, a large role here. In terms of the anti-carcinogenic effects, especially those flavonoids, contribute to that. So one of the studies I looked at here tested extracts on cancer cell lines, cervical, colon, and breast. And the findings were that the field-grown lab plants had strong cytotoxic effects on the cancer cell killing effects, especially on breast cancer cells MCF7. So that is very interesting. And then intestinal microflora kind of falls under the gastroprotective effect, but now we know how large a role our intestinal microflora and our gut plays in every other aspect of our body. So it's definitely a good one to note. And then the phenolic compounds really promote the beneficial bacterial growth and inhibit pathogenic bacteria. This table is really fun to take a look at because it breaks down the polyphenols, the most common ones found in this tea, and takes a look at their biological activity and effects. All right, this I had to include. These tables kind of highlight the anti-carcinogenic effects of Greek Mountain tea. In these graphs, so we're looking at ICP, the in situ cultivated plants, FGP, those field grown plants that we discussed earlier, and then IVS, in vitro propagated shoots. So that FGP, that's the red line, you can see how much this affected the activity of tumor and non-tumor cells. So super interesting. And then the next graphic we have here, A and C are the controls of untreated HeLa cells, and then B and D are treated with the IVS extract. So this still had a pretty notable effect on those HeLa cells. So there's definitely some promising research here for oncology, but of course there's more research that needs to be done. And then this is something that you can take a look at your own time. It just does go through some of the benefits that we already mentioned and talks us through what's going on there. All right, potential drug nutrient interactions. This was the hardest thing for me to find in terms of the whole review of Greek Mountain tea because there are not a lot. I did find that it does have a little bit of effect on xenobiotic metabolizing enzymes, so the phase 1, phase 2 enzymes, specifically the CYP2A6 substrate in males. So that's something to consider. Other than that, there's not a lot out there in terms of drug nutrient interactions. More research is definitely needed for this because it's good to take a look at, but it does seem like it's overall safe. It does also have potential hypotensive effects. So if you are hypotensive or on medication that for low blood pressure, it's something to consider because it does have those relaxant properties and you don't want to drop that too low. But overall, a very safe tea. All right, now we're going to look at the ethics and the safety profile. So I'm just going to scan over the safety profile because we already discussed that, but it's generally safe when moderately consumed. You don't want to overdo anything, but it does have a long history of traditional use and very minimal side effects or interactions reported. And then again, we mentioned the CYP2A6 enzyme in men and hypotension to consider. Ethically, it's an important economic resource because it adds value to remote areas. It grows in high altitudes and in rocky areas. So this makes for good use of all of the land. And it is the field grown teas have a higher content of polyphenols and flavonoids. That's what we discussed in those when we were looking at the oncology report. So those field growns really had the highest effect on the cells, which is something to consider when growing the tea. So field grown is good. And yeah, overall high benefit, low risk tea from what I've seen. So in terms of safety, it's a pretty safe tea to consider using. Recommendations for clients. It promotes general wellness, antioxidant and inflammatory effects, reduces oxidative stress. It's a natural low risk option. And then we also discussed already the cautionary measures to take if you are hypotensive or you are on any drugs that affect this CYP2A6. From a personal perspective, I have already added this to my wellness routine. And I really love the cultural history of the tea. I think it's a beautiful history and really rich background. So the potential health benefits, again, I think the health benefits outweigh the risks here. So it's safe to incorporate into routine. I like incorporating relaxation practices into my life because sometimes I can get revved up. So it's a good ritual and non caffeinated. So you're really practicing balance when adding this tea into your life. So, this is a tea you can buy from Greek Super Herbs. And I actually decided to look at the research before hopping on this website. I was already aware of this website, but I wanted to look at the research first for some reason. And it was really neat because all of the benefits that I found through research aligned with everything we see here and almost in the same order too, which was kind of neat. So you can read through this on your own, but again, we're seeing the same alignment here in terms of anti-inflammatory, gastroprotective, antioxidant properties, cognitive function, digestive system, immunity. So there are a lot of benefits here and a lot of great compounds in the tea. And this is Eleftheria. She is actually the owner of Greek Super Herbs. I got the opportunity to meet her and got to chat with her. She's so passionate about her company and the integrity and quality of the product, sourcing it ethically, and does not compromise on this. So that's why her prices are a little bit higher, but she is so passionate about keeping her products integrity and producing a quality product and ethically. So it was really beautiful hearing some of her stories from customers who reached out and talked about how much of an impact the teas have had on their health and on their lives. So she's so inspiring, such a beautiful soul, and really puts her whole heart into what she's doing. So very thankful to have the opportunity to talk to Lefteria. And her name means freedom. And then this is Kalanoros Estate. And this is an estate. They grow herbs and tea. And I got to come out here. Iris, she's a Pilates instructor, brought us out and we got to talk to Giannis. He is the owner of Kalanoros Estate. And we got to walk through his farm, discuss how he grows his herbs, the love he puts into what he's doing, and how he dries them. He makes his own essential oils. And yeah, no, it was really a beautiful experience. I learned so much. Yamas means to our health. Cheers. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Eleftheria, Iris, and Giannis, for everything that I learned from all of you. And yeah, no, I really love Greek Mountain Dew, and I'm happy to incorporate it into my life and would love to share it with others. Here are my references. And then these all have links to their sites if you would like to purchase any of their products or talk with them. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.